So here's a 2013 GMC Terrain I bought for my daughter that I'm gonna rebuild this motor. So the day I uploaded my YouTube short, I had went ahead and pulled out the cylinder head. I'm gonna show you what's going on with that, but just to give you the brief synopsis of what's going on. Seemed like the vehicle ran low on oil because this do have an oil consumption problem, and I'm going to resolve that with this rebuild. So it ran low on oil, jumped timing 2 teeth, and bent the valves. You can see, hopefully you can see pretty well where it was hitting the piston. See that nick right there and right there. Also on the other side here, you can see where it's hitting the piston there. And look how clean those marks are. There. There. So I'm gonna have to do a valve job on this. It's just gonna have to happen. I mean, no big deal. I prepared myself for that. The biggest thing was the oil consumption. The bore is squeaky clean. There's no cross hatches. So this is getting honed out very well, on top of getting new piston rings and pistons. So that's getting done. So currently I've put my dots here to orient the location just in case I forget. I do have the oil pan out. We're gonna get the rod caps removed and the pistons removed, and we're gonna take a look at those oil rings and see if they're stuck and fixed in the position because of the excessive baking of the oil, and see if that contributed to the oil consumption problem. And then we'll inspect the bearings. But mainly, you know, I want to check those rings out. The bore is fine. Once we hone that, we'll be good. Let's go in here and get these pistons out. What you see right here is the oil pan removed, and we're just looking at the rotating assembly. This has seem like a girdle style. This is 2-piece. So you have to take this bottom half of the block to get the crank out. You get the main bolts right here. Here we see the rod cap. What you see is number 1, number 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Timing chains right here. This gets replaced. It didn't look like this when I pulled it out. I hit it with some brake cleaner just so I can get my marks here on the rod end caps. I did notice when I pulled the oil pan down that the rod end cap bolts had orange marking at the rear cap, the rear bolt, indicating that they're going towards the rear. So I did put my additional marks here, the arrows facing towards the timing chain or the front of the motor. So we're gonna this is a very simple engine, get these rod end caps taken off. These look like, I know I'm wrong, they're probably 11 millimeters, but we're gonna find out. I'm gonna get these off, zip them out, and then get the piston pushed up to get it out from the top. Can't believe it, but I was right the first time. It is an 11 millimeter. I have no clue what these are torqued at the moment, but it feels like 32 foot-pounds. We'll find that out when I get this. Oh gosh, get this rebuilt. I get it centered. Let's see how this cap looks. Yeah, I don't like the fact that it's stuck. Stuck to the journal. I don't like that. They actually, these don't look bad. Let me see if I can put it in the cap. And, yeah, it holds. I just didn't like when I pulled it off that it did that, but it holds. So we're good on number 1. I do need to make mental note of the orientation of this cap here, but you know, I don't have to think because there's a direction there. See, I almost screwed myself up there. I don't have to think much. So usually you'll get like a mark here on the side. I have to get some, let me mark on the, yep, look at that. There's a number there, and it's in the front. The number goes to the front of the engine. So we're good with that. So we're good on number 1 journal. Push this up there, like so. Oh shit, it just shot right on up. Here's our number 1. These are treated skirts. And the main thing is the oil ring. And that is in fact stuck. It's not free like the compression rings here at the top and then the bottom. I wouldn't mind seeing, look at the ports there. I don't know if the camera's gonna catch all the detail, but they look clogged. I'm pretty sure some of the other ones I'm gonna see are gonna look worse. But these are floating style pistons. You see the retaining ring there, which is good. Makes it easy for removal and installation. Here's our marks here that face the timing chain. So we're getting new pistons. There's the rod. I want to wipe it off with a towel. There looked like there were some dry episodes. I'm just going to show the detail if I can get it at a good angle. Let me wipe it off. See that there's definitely some dry starch there. Dirt got into it. There's some pitting. No big deal. And our markings. There's our markings here. There's our markings there. And it corresponds with the rod. So all the numbers face towards the radiator side of the front of the block. So let's get the other pistons out. I am going to mark the connecting rod, so I put those back in the same spot. This is the only time I'm very particular about putting things back in the exact same spot. This one is rotation related. So rocker arms, no. Lifters, no, but definitely pistons and piston rods, cam caps, things like that. Otherwise, it really don't matter. It's number 4. So the bearings for the most part didn't look that bad. They all look similar. They're getting replaced also. I'm gonna pull the rings off of number 4 piston. No particular reason why. These, like I said, is getting new rings also. They're gonna be standard rings. Let's take the oil ring out, most importantly. I'm just looking for any congestion in the evacuating ports. Where's that other ring at? There you go. It's the ring itself. Thought I had a ring in the middle.
Let's look at the port. So so it's only 2 ports on each side. 1, 2. See sludge build up around there, but there's some smaller ones here. Not sure if I can't see through the camera if they're. Yeah, these are going to be stopped up. So you can see what'll happen if the oil can't evacuate properly, it'll cause sludge buildup. The rings will compress and get stuck and can't press up against the bore, the cylinder walls, to keep the compression for the oil, and it'll pass through and get inside the combustion chamber during the combustion process, and it'll slowly ingest the oil. Let's take a look at the bore.
They look glossy. I'm going to hone one of the bores out so you can see what it'll look like with it properly honed. And you'll see what the standard bore is supposed to look like for having cross hatches. These don't have any, and it helps with not only compression but oil also. So if it's smooth, that oil can simply pass right on through. Those cross hatches make it more complicated for that oil to seep through. But let me clean the bore, hit it with some oil, and put the hone down in there. Don't laugh at my hone, because it's what happened when you let people borrow your equipment. You never get it back the way you loaned it. Here's one. What I'm likely going to have to do is get a better hone, like a doo-doo bird is what the other one I've known the name of. Because again, I mean, I let somebody borrow this and they tore it up. I don't know how the hell they tore it up like that, but I definitely may have to get a new hone. But you can get the idea of what the cross hatches need to be, how it's supposed to look. It's not going to look perfect. There's none, and there's some. So I'm gonna do all these, get it honed out, and I'm gonna try to do the best I can with what I got. If I'm not satisfied, then I'll just have to go buy a new one. Look like the oil squirter should be removed to get further down in there. We'll see. So actually, if you look down here, you can see where the piston stops at bottom dead center, where it's shiny below, like a ridge there, right there. So I should be okay where I ended here. So I'm not going to worry about getting further down when I'm in the region where I need to be. So it's been several days later, and all the stuff arrived for this rebuild, which is just bottom end rotational assembly parts such as the pistons and rod bearings.
And so we're just gonna get the bottom end done today, and we'll work on the top end because I still haven't even taken the head to the machine shop yet. But my hone did come. The walls look so much better with the new hone. Did an excellent job. I wound up getting off of Amazon for like $30, so that it worked. It looked beautiful, so I'm glad. I got some new parts. Let me show you what I got. So my assembly lube of choice is just some oil stabilizer. I just got this laying around. It's not going to hurt anything. Just need something to coat the bearings. I do have assembly lube, but I got more of this, and it's just as tacky. So I got some factory standard rod bearings. We got pistons. These are Engine Tech pistons, and the piston ring set came from Engine Tech also. So I got all this stuff off of Rock Auto, and this is the last one I'm installing. This is the longer video. I can do everything, take my sweet ass time. I don't have to worry about doing a YouTube short, so we can see all the ins and outs involved without having to be rushed within the 60-second window. So I'm gonna clean this piston with some brake cleaner and get this wrist pin released with the snap ring here, or lock pin, or whatever you want to call it. And then once I get the bearings out, get that cleaned up, then I'll be able to start assembling everything. This is the last piston I got to put back in before I put the oil pan in. Got some fresh new rags. I've been using like new rags for every piston that I've been dealing with, just so I can keep it pretty clean, as clean as I'm gonna get it. Oh, is lightning gonna make a big boom? That was a pretty big lightning strike. We can move this over just a little bit. It's been, yep, there you go. It's been thundering a small portion of the day. I'm not that guy to put lube on the back of the bearing caps. On the back of the bearings, I don't know why folks do that. I find that interesting because the bearings don't ride back there. Let's see if we can get this off here. Up, make sure you don't. We need to get a different set of picks anyway, so I don't really care too much for this one. This one's sticky. So you're going away. I'm gonna make sure I put these rod caps back. I put one of them in backwards. Well, I installed it backwards initially, then I corrected myself before I went to triple check myself before I put it back in there. So it kind of slipped through the quality control. So this little code here, the LEV, this needs to be facing towards the radiator side. So that's need to be facing the radiator side, and then the direction of the piston going towards the timing chain. That's where that needs to go. Let me get a new piston. So 2 locks there. This pin. And again, these are Engine Tech pistons here. Standard size. Plenty of rags to keep wiping my hands here. I need to put this in first. Just walk it down there and it will walk right into place. Put the piston facing timing chain, front timing chain where the arrow is. This is the front. So I have to triple check myself. We're lubed. The center. Gonna drop something. It's alright because it fell all the way through. Wipe everything back off. The pick was magnetized, so that pretty much worked to my disadvantage. Oh gosh, I just had it. Locked in place, and we are facing the appropriate direction. LEV and the arrows. Want those timing chains. Okay. Carry on. I'm gonna get the piston rings installed. They need to be facing down. So the easiest route I found out, when you put them in there, go ahead and butt them together and collapse them. Just put them in there, and then so they'll seat. I can do it. And just do that number, and then put the rings on. Oil rings. Hopefully it'll go on perfectly fine now. Hopefully. I'm gonna do that same thing again. Just push them together. And at the bottom. And go in order by the book. There's that bottom ring. Oh yeah, that's what that one went in pretty good. Alright, I'm gonna get my lower compression ring. This is the only one that had the, no, this is the top one. The one that had, this is the top ring can go in either way, number one. Number two is directional, the center one. The bags have numbers on them, so it'll tell you where they go. You kind of get the idea. If 3 is the oil ring, then 2 and 1 are going to be the compression rings. This one has up symbol on it. Just gonna put that in like so. Then this one goes either way because it doesn't have any markings on it. And then I'm going to make sure the bottom ring compresses. Yep, so we're good there. Take my tool, wipe it out. expanded. I'll just kind of run it up and down. Oh shit. I didn't mean to do that. I pulled a little too hard. Let's try it again. I'm not gonna put any oil inside of here because it's gonna be inside the engine bore. So I'm not gonna worry about lubing this area here. Put a ring poke out. Sugar compress. Tug test. Expose half of it. Then what I'll do is just look and see if there's any light. You see the rings on the side there. That is the compression ring right there. I'll look and see if there's any binding, like hold it up to the light and see if you can look through it, make sure all the rings are compressed. So yeah, like right there where it's open, you can look through there and make sure it's seated properly. So I'm gonna put some lube in the bore. Well, before I do that, I need to put the bearing in there. And again, I'm using GM factory bearings. These are GM bearings. I'm gonna put it clean down there. Lock in like so. A rod cap. Let me get another clean rag. Let's see what I got. I got a decent rag here. This is fine. This down here. This is clean. Make that little area. It's fine. Put some Lucas on here. And the reason why I'm using it's the same viscosity as my assembly lube, and I got plenty of this. It's look how tacky it is. It's snotty. So it's gonna hold just fine. The main thing, you just need something that mixes well with oil, and it's gonna hold. And this is perfectly fine. Trust me, bro. You gotta believe anybody that says trust me, bro. Trust me. So we're here. That's fine. Rod bolts. The one that was colored went in the back. Last time I put my arrow here. Don't matter really because we have LEV. Well, one of them said LEV. This doesn't say LEV. This got our engravement here. This is going to face the front of the engine. I thought it said LEV. Did it? Yeah. Oh, it don't say LEV. I thought it. This says L69. I think the LEV is the 1.4 turbo, as I recall. I don't know. I'm not that smart of a guy. Let's do this. Get our oil can. We're going to number 3. Mark. We're going that way. Uh-oh, did something. Wasn't clocked that well, hit the crank. Uh-oh. Gotta pull it out, start over again. No big deal. And once you get the momentum, you just gotta keep on going. That's the first time that happened. Check my rings here, make sure everything's fine. So all my rings are good. That's the first time that happened during this installation. So we're good here. Our rings are good. We're just gonna simply start over again. And I just didn't have it positioned well, and it hit the crank and slowed down. So that momentum needs to be had to get those rings to decompress at a proper time. As long as you didn't force it, you know, you're not gonna break anything. The rings, you saw the rings, they look good. Going through the same check. Look at everything doing the light, through the light, just make sure everything's seated properly and do it again. Goes down smoothly. Go underneath, line the crank up, and make sure the top of the cap mates with the journal of the crankshaft. Get everything bolted up and torque it down.
I got my journal cleaned up. I got my lube on it. Oh gosh, I literally dropped everything here. Torque it down to 18 foot-pounds. Then we'll put a mark down at the bottom, zeroing this out, and then we'll do 100 degrees. So if 180 is the opposite, 90 is a quarter of the way. We're just going to go slightly above the quarter. I know people are going to frown upon that, but they'll be fine. Good there. Oh yeah, so we're fine. We'll spin the engine over. Make sure it rotates easy. finding. The scratching you're hearing is the new piston rings going against the home wall, so we're fine there. Next, I'm gonna get this timing chain up. See that? So I'm gonna get this up out the way, clean my oil pan, and get that put back up. We'll get it glued and then get it put back up. So once I clean this area out here.
So if you remember how that oil pan looked, it was horrible. The timing components that broke, the guide at the top fell off and went somewhere. And mind you, when I did this engine some years ago for this customer, when it was hers, some stuff had broke off too. All of it collected down under this tray, right under this baffle. There was several bits of plastic, metal, and it lodged in the pickup. Ain't no telling how many issues, because we kept having some issues with the variating valve system. It will come on, it will come and go, but that could have contributed to a lot of our problems that we're having from this pickup. And on hindsight, yeah, I wish I would have dropped the oil pan and cleaned that out really good, but I did not. And but it had an oil consumption problem anyway. I'm not sure if the lubricating system, the pickup being efficient, would have helped with oil consumption or not. But I will say yes and no. I would say that had a influence on oil consumption, probably like a 10% issue. But for the most part, if there was obstructions, it's going to lock the engine up. But now, since we're getting a new oil pump, got new bearings, the pickup's clean, I mean, this engine should run phenomenally. Shouldn't have any issues with the lubricating system. So with that said, I already got the pan cleaned up really good. Used some diesel and a brush, metal brush for cleaning engine parts and brake cleaner. It looks phenomenal in comparison to what it was before. I'm gonna take some RTV sealant, go around these edges, go around here, and get this put back into place. I know it's kind of hard to believe, but they do use RTV sealant here on the bottom, if I recall properly. Because when I pulled it off, it was sealing around here. Call me crazy, but I'm gonna look back. As a matter of fact,
Yep, there's sealant. That's remnants of it. So I'm gonna have to put sealant there too. No big deal. I'm just gonna get this area very clean, very dry, and get it installed. All my rotating assembly components are in the proper order. They're oriented properly. Everything's lubed. We should be good to go. And this bottom end will be done after I get this pan in here. Oil pan went on extremely smoothly, extremely smooth. No issues gaining access to the compressor, the bolt here, all the 13 millimeters. I just ran them in with my low impact gun. There are dowels here, so you can't put it in incorrectly. It's just gonna bolt right up, hold in place, run the bolts in there. Everything went perfectly smooth. So it's 18, 13, and 15. So that's all I needed. The bead worked out well, protruding just fine. It's gonna sit there and cure. I got plenty of time. It's gonna be dried overnight, and I can't wait I'm excited to do my first startup. I can't begin to tell you. So with that said, let's work our way back up to the top. My hood prop with the strut there, that went out, so it works, but it's just weak. I got my light bar on the hood, and it unfortunately broke my leg of my camera stand, so I gotta buy another one of those. But I digress. It happens. It's nature of business. Pistons went in very easy. I took my time. I actually took about I would say probably about 20 minutes per piston, just putting it in there, just making sure everything went in right. I didn't have any issues, and the engine rotates just fine. So they went in easy. I got my lube in there. The assembly lube is going to be fine. I'm pretty sure people are going to have their
doubts on assembly lube, but I think those are the people who probably never touched the motor a day in their life. I've seen some people use engine oil as assembly lube. As long as the bearings are coated, we're fine. Nothing's gonna happen. This Lucas is tacky. Hell, I think, call me crazy, but I'm pretty sure somebody out there probably used Vaseline at some point. But it mixes with oil fine. It's gonna work out. I got a new oil pump, like I said, new timing chain, head gasket set, all that stuff, new bolts. That's going on here when I do another part of this video. But for the most part, I bought this car because it's simple, it's easy to work on, even though they're a piece of shit to me. They're simple. You can't complain about the simplicity of this motor with the problem that you'll have. Yeah, you have problems, but they're easy. It's just that trade-off. Would you rather have something extremely complex to work on that you'll probably rarely have problems, or something easy that you may have more frequent problems? And this is the happy median here. And I appreciate GM for being pretty simplistic with this motor. I'll take my chances with this any day. So next video, I'll do the cylinder head when they come back from the machine shop. I'm going to take it this week, trust me, bro. It's going to go get dropped off, and I should have that in the upcoming week or two, and I'll give you the rundown with that. But for the most part, we've got the bottom end, the rotating assembly knocked out. That's done, making progress. But if anything happened, I'll definitely update. Hit that link, subscribe to the channel, stay informed how to register my work. See you next one.